I'm going to talk to you today about spirit animals, and this is my approach, which is not following in any traditions. I think that there are, especially like North American traditions, that have got a very specific way of working with spirit guides and spirit animals, which is really important and nothing to do with me. So I'm not in any way kind of encroaching upon that practice. And also Aboriginal culture, which is one that I feel very connected to. Again, people are born of a tribe that has an animal. They're born of a songline. You know, you might be the witchy grub songline or the coyote songline. And that, again, is not my tradition. It's not for me to be talking about. That's just how I feel about that. People can, people do what they want. It's up to you. For me, I like to make things up myself because, first of all, that's not appropriating anyone else's tradition, but also I think that is the point. The roots of all these things is that it's about you being creative yourself and following your own truth, and I think that that's vital. That's my truth. So for me, my journey to learning what my spirit animals are, first of all, the animal that I feel I represent. Now, because I'm from a theatre background, I'm very aware about the journey that you have to go on to discover your typecasting. And at first, all actors resist the idea of typecasting because you go out into the world, into the world of performing, and you think, I can be anything. I can be anything, and you can. Like, you absolutely can. And you also have a physical type that means if you walk into a room for a casting, for an audition, people are going to say you're more this type of character than that type of character. Creatively, yes, you can be everything and anything. And then physically in the outer world, you also do have a type that people read when they look at you. So for me as a performer and as a kind of part of my journey of self-understanding and self-ownership, was to own the fact that physically, if I was going to get cast for Wind in the Willows, or my animal's not in Wind of the Willows because we don't have them in the UK. But my animal would be the animal that I would be cast as, because that's the one that I look like and I move like, and I'm physically like this animal. And that animal is the bear. Hello, bear. Hello. Oh, I love the bear. But at first, I totally resisted being a bear. I wanted to be, sorry, I'm going to hide you so it doesn't hear this. Like, I wanted to be a cat or something a bit more lithe and feline and delicate, like a bird or something like this. And quite often the reality of our typecasting and the reality of ourselves, we are resistant to, because it's almost like, we've always got this fantasy in our heads of who we are and what we think we are in the world. And I think part of the journey of working with your ego and getting to know thyself better, know thyself, how to do that better is to actually own and see what's there rather than the fantasy that you create. And part of my fantasy was that I was more delicate than a bear. But there was a part of me that kind of knew that I was a bear. The awakening kind of happened when I was in a theatre company with the Fools. So we were on the road for many years, touring together, company of fools, and it was brilliant. We lived in squats and stayed in squats and hitchhiked around Europe performing, fooling, and it just seems like a magical dream that we were able to do that now. But yeah, that was wonderful. Some of the best point in my life was doing that. And there was a woman in the company who very much was a bear, and she knew she was a bear. And I think because she was so beary, and she was quite different to me, she was a different type of bear to me, but it overshadowed me seeing that I was a bear. But there was part of me that kind of could tell. I was like, yeah, I am that too. And it wasn't until we all stopped working together that I was like able to kind of own that. It was like, all right, I am a bear. I'm also a bear. I've never like felt like I know exactly what type of bear. My friend, my darling friend Lois went, "You're an Ewok." And I love that. I am an Ewok. I'm definitely an Ewok. But obviously Ewoks aren't real. So if I was going to be a real bear, I don't know really. I'm not. I know which ones I'm not. I'm not a panda. I'm not a koala. I'm not a. I know koalas aren't actually bears, as I've just been to Australia and learned all about that. But I'm not a panda. I'm not a koala. Maybe, yeah. I don't really know the brown bears and the different types of bears well enough to know which one I feel most akin to. But it's kind of just bear. And if I had to pick one, it would be an Ewok. And now that I own that, it's kind of, I've relaxed into it. It's like, all right, it wasn't quite as delicate as I was hoping. But then once you are like, okay, I'm a bear, you then can look into what does that represent. And actually they're ferocious protectors, like they're ferocious mothers. I'm not a mother, but I am very protective of the people that are dear to me, and I will look after them, and don't mess with my clan. And I will look after them and protect them. I will protect myself if I need to. So I've got the ferocity of a bear and the strength, and then they're also like a bit, you know, dim and cuddly, and like, you know, it's fine. I don't mind the fact that I'm a bear anymore. I really enjoy it, and part of it is things like absolutely loving honey. And so part of the journey of becoming a bear and owning that I'm a bear is to always buy really nice honey, and to own and love my enjoyment of honey. And I literally can eat bowls and bowls of honey until I'm sick, and I have to make sure I don't. But honey is my friend, which means bees are my friend, which means beeswax is my friend, and all of these things are in my life, and I love them because I'm a bear and I love my bees and honey and my bees. I love being a bear. It's great. But aside from the bear, sorry, I'm still enjoying my honey. Aside from the bear, there's another animal that I completely love. And this is, again, just starting to look at what was already there, owning what was already there. And the first time I remember being into this animal was as a child. I used to collect them from the garden, and I had a whole bunch of them in my kitchen, in my nan and granddad's house, and we were out in the kitchen and I was playing with them all, and they all had names, and I would, you know, I would make up whole family stories about them. And then one day, apparently, I don't remember this, it was so devastating that I must have blocked it out of my mind, but apparently my mum was watching me playing with them, and my nan just walked in and walked over them all and killed them. I totally don't remember that happening. But this animal is none other than the snail, the humble snail. Now, snails are awesome in many different ways. First of all, they're gypsies, and I definitely feel like I have a nomadic gypsy part of me that loves being on the move. My best friend noticed that I'm at my happiest when I'm going somewhere, and that's totally true. I'm definitely at my happiest when I'm on my way somewhere, and I love going to places. I love moving around, but I also really like taking all my comfort with me. I love having a nest and a home, and if I could have a snail shell with everything I need in it, that would be brilliant. And me and my brother used to play a game when we were younger where we'd wrap a duvet around us and we'd crawl around pretending to be snails, and then we'd go in our duvet and pretend that we had like bowling alleys and stuff in our like, oh, I've got an ice skating ring, and just, yeah, we'd try and outdo each other with what we had in our duvet shells. So I love that idea as well. It's like a TARDIS. You go in and there's like a whole world in there of stuff that the snail's carrying around with them. Snails are like, they can smell their garden for miles. So if you throw your snail over your neighbour's garden, which is a very cheeky thing to do, it will find its way back to your garden. So it knows the smell of the composition of the garden that it was born in. And you have to really get it miles away from your garden for them to not find their way back in. And the way they get back to you is they spiral. They do a spiral. They just keep spiraling, and at some point they'll come back to the middle. And there's proper wisdom in that. Like if you're lost at sea and you know that land is somewhere, you can't, like, you've lost sight of the horizon. Like my friend was stuck in fog, and this is what she did. She just started swimming in a spiral, swimming in a circle, and at some point she saw where the shore was. Genius, really good. Now the thing with the spiral as well is the spiral is masculine and feminine. So masculine is the straight line, the spear throwing, it's the, I can never remember if it's the rods or the cones in your eyes, but one set in your eyes is for seeing the thing moving on the horizon and aiming and shooting for it. And then the other side of things is the more cyclical and the feminine, which is your menstrual cycle and seeing the bigger picture and thinking holistically. And yeah, so the female is cyclical, and if you add the cyclical to the directional, you have a spiral moving forwards. And that's how I see time. I'm pretty sure if you could see time, it would be a spiral. And yeah, you'll have winter and summer, and you go round and round this year of like the wheel of the year, but we never go back to the same summer, we never go back to the same winter. It's always moving forward and changing. And so the snail has all of that in its shell, and they teach you to slow down. And as a performer and as a person, I don't have ADHD, but I get on really well with people who do have ADHD. I'm definitely that end of the tempo scale. And as a theatre maker and a fool, I'm always trying to learn to slow down. And I feel like that's my lesson in life overall, is to learn to slow down. So this time with us being locked down, it's allowing me to really get close to my inner snail and have some snail time. Slow down and enjoy the ride. So thinking about your animals, what one do you physically look like if you were going to be cast in Wind in the Willows, a global Wind in the Willows? What animal would you be? And there's something nice about learning that and then owning that, because you can learn to love your body and love your shape and love your mannerisms in a different way, and also get to enjoy whatever food they like and whatever their habitat is, climbing trees, and yeah, owning all of those things. Oh, some more honey, don't mind if I do. And then also look at what animals inspire you. What were the animals you played with as a kid? I mean, snails have come up for me all through my life. There was a big moment in my life where I got given a snail necklace, and it was really significant, and it felt like I'd really almost felt like a coming of age moment. And it completely, they had no idea about the snail thing. It just happened to be a snail. That's what they were making. And it was called Eric. All of them were called Eric. So according to me, all snails are called Eric. And yeah, so it's just like looking at your past and looking through your life and seeing what animals resonate with you, and thinking what is the message that they teach me. And for me, I know that I need to slow down. So the snail feels really important to me. And I know that I'm a bear. And there are other animals that, like, I really love Odin, because I learned to read runes when I was younger, and I'm going to be talking about runes in another video. But it means that I feel very, I feel a lot of love for the covids, the crows, ravens, rooks, magpies, like that whole family, the jays. Yeah, they're all, for me, they represent Odin, and I love Odin. And yeah, like, I mean, obviously I love all animals, but it's just looking at ones that feel significant to you. I often will feel that if I see crows out, there's a message there, and the magpies, like the number of magpies that I see, I'll often feel like is telling me something. So yeah, it's just becoming a bit more aware of the animals that feel important to you and what they mean to you, and owning it. With all these things, it's just about owning it and making it into something, because otherwise it's just stuff that's happening in the background of like life, doing a job, doing the thing, doing the life thing. Whereas when you start going, oh, but I really like snails and I really like bears, and you add these elements in, and then suddenly it's not just life, it's life plus all these other little elements that you get to play with and enjoy.